Hello there, Seraphim17 once again. This is my Shadow the Tomb Raider Deadly Obsession video walkthrough. Be careful moving through this swamp too quickly on the N64, because you'll freeze the game, and it says streaming content, and it takes about 5 to 10 seconds for the game to finish loading. It's happened to me a bunch of times. In this mission we're going to be going through an area, through the Path of the Living to a temple, and we're going to be taking on Trinity's PMCs. So, once again, you want to be looting as much as you can, but this is going to be a section where the checkpoint is just as rough as the first mission was. You're going to have to do a decent amount of things before you get back. And this is where the difficulty, and I say that loosely, definitely starts to try and enforce its will. But the problem with this game, other than the myriad of problems with this game, if you want to have an idea of some of the problems with this game, I think GameSpot did a very good review of it, minus how they complimented the shooting, because I don't think the shooting in this game is good at all. But everything else they said in that review is kind of spot on, because this is like the worst best game, right? It has all this creativity, it has all this production value, and they've made a super underwhelming, inferior sequel, and I don't know how they've done that. But this difficulty falls down because the base game isn't hard. If the base game was hard, this would be a nightmare, but it isn't, because it's just not designed to be difficult. It's the same problem the last game had, it's the same problem the first game had. The games are just not hard, and I appreciate that difficulty is subjective, but watch what I'm going to do here, guys. I take out the first guy with a water takedown, because the water takedowns are really powerful. When they turn away, I'm going to climb up onto the decking, and then I'm going to shoot the guy who's furthest from me with a silenced pistol. This is going to kill him instantly, and it's going to tell people that something is happening. Because the AI is cranked all the way up to super alert, because it's the hardest difficulty, they are going to run a train on pretending not to know where I am, but conveniently coming exactly where I am. So notice how that guy turned around, started sprinting to come this way, and now I kill him. All games do this, right? It's a fundamental of AI programming. The AI knows where you are at all times. They just pretend, through programming and scripting, to look around where you are, but not exactly where you are. If the AI came and looked exactly where you are and saw you, it would feel like you'd been cheated, it'd feel like they were psychic, it wouldn't be fun. So instead, what the developers do is they give them the ambiguity and they search around where you are to make it a little bit more climactic and a little bit more tense, but they're not on that line of cheating. And what this allows you to do is repeatedly kill every single one of them in an execution train. And you can do this from the mud walls and from the bushes, and they'll see a body, they'll come and check the body, and you kill them. Another dude will see the 2 bodies, he'll come over, you'll kill him. Another dude will see the 3 bodies, he'll come over, you'll kill him. They never see the bodies and go, maybe I shouldn't go near that plant. You know, maybe I shouldn't go near that big pile of dead dudes. It's like 2001 video games, right? It's something that some games have worked towards to trying to stop happening. It's some that don't. And this is one of those games that doesn't, because on the base parameters of it, it is not a challenging game. And that's a good thing, because you have to do it with no checkpoints. But this is pretty kind right here. They give you a campfire just after that encounter, which is really, really kind of them. But there are parts in the game where you would think they would give you a campfire, and they don't. And that's the problem, I think, when you really look into it fundamentally. You can tell this game wasn't designed around these campfires. It was added additionally as this arbitrary difficulty, because the game doesn't flow correctly. You shouldn't have to do an hour of difficult things, and then turn into a village where nothing can hurt you and nothing is difficult, and you have 5 campfires in that village. Like, what's going to be inconvenient about walking 5 minutes through a village compared to redoing 45 minutes because you fucked up? Speaking of fucking up, watch this. I miss my arrow just then, and then I get a double execution. So, don't even waste time aiming at that encounter, guys. Just wait for them to angle that corner, and then do the double execution. And then once you've done that, you can move over here, and all of these strategies I'm showing you now work every time. There's no ambiguity here. As long as you do this correctly, you'll do this every single time. This is 100% recreatable, because I fucked this part up and had to do it twice. So stab this first guy behind the boxes. Look to your left where that forklift is. There's going to be a guy that patrols just to the side of it. It's a little bit to the left of my aimer right here. Shoot him in the face. And then these two guys here, if you angle around this box, you can shoot the guy who counters you. See his head? Shoot him, and then move around the other side and execute his friend. And that's the end of that fight. You can then loot this area if you should choose to, or you can go down the shaft into the cave. But those two encounters, they go really smoothly, and I like them a lot because they have really nice patterns. I wish all of the fights went like that on this walkthrough, but they don't. And I've got no excuse, guys. I had really good strategies for almost every encounter. It's just when you don't have a checkpoint and you've got 40 minutes to replay and something goes wrong, you commit to whatever's gone wrong and you fix it, right? And that's what I did. The problem with making a mistake on this part too is that you have to do a puzzle again, which is really frustrating. So I'm going to leave you now till we get to the next part of combat, and good luck and Godspeed.
Jonah, I made it inside the temple.
I think we found something here too. Some numbers. I'm gonna clear it off.
The numbers on the pillars look like the first half of dates. Ishal on the left, Shakshal on the right. Progress.
There's an incomplete date and a depiction of Shakshal.
I have 2 dates here, and Ishal. I think I've seen a date on the left somewhere. Okay, Jonah. What's the final number for Shakshal?
A line across with 2 dots on top of it. 7, I think.
Thanks. Jonah.
Hey, yeah, that sculpture, big teeth. Oh, here. He's back.
Laura, you okay?
Yeah, I'm heading back.
Good.
This part's really silly too. So, when you jump in the water, guys, it's going to introduce you to the Piranha mechanic. This is a mechanic that on my first playthrough I didn't even realise was a mechanic because they never interacted with me. I played on hard and I never had the piranhas spot me. I didn't even realise they were piranhas. I was joking that they were piranhas and I must have missed that tooltip. But what happens here, guys, is if they see you and you're not in the grass, you'll die. I don't know why they work this way. It says if you go in the grass you confuse them, but I've had a group of them gangbanging me in the grass and they weren't confused, they were eating my face. So I recommend giving these bastards the widest of berths and then being as quick as you can. Purely because if you fail, you go all the way back to the bonfire before that gunfight we just did, where we shot the people and everything. And the problem is obvious, right? You're getting killed by a bullshit gimmick, which is known as piranhas in this game, and then you have to do all that listening to the radio, all that puzzle again, spinning those dials, all that walking around watching cutscenes, all that touching walls. Like, the gameplay of this game, the feedback loop, and the gameplay loop itself of stealthing, exploring, picking up worthless shit all the time, watching cutscenes, unskippable cutscenes, putting your hand to your ear and talking to Jonah, shooting a few dudes, doing some stealth, doing some swimming, doing some diving. Like, the loop is too long for permadeath. It just truly is. Like, it doesn't feel rewarding or complement the gameplay. Games that do permadeath the best had gameplay that complemented it, was almost always 100% uniquely stealth driven, and didn't have gimmicky bullshit. Like, these kind of removing checkpoints, all they're doing is ignoring 30 years of iterative game design, and I don't understand why. There's a reason why in Donkey Kong you put your credit in, and it's 100% skill until you die, because those games were designed to steal money, and the people that got good at them had to master them to be able to play them correctly. You don't pick up Donkey Kong and just wreck the game. This ain't fucking Call of Duty. Like, I have no idea why we're going back to this draconian age of difficulty, in an age where we have done so much better, so much more graceful. It really does boggle my mind. But be careful in this swimming section too, because of the piranhas are making you nervous and making you question yourself. You might drown here, so if you pick up one of those perks where she can hold her breath longer, that will make it less intimidating. But I don't have any of those perks and I've never drowned, even in those moments where the piranhas make me swim like a bitch. But we get another skill point. Make sure you pick up as many fronds and reeds as you can. And then as you come through here, you're going to get a little bit of exposition on the soldiers about a creature you're going to be fighting later on that I call the Cenobites, which have nothing to do with Hellraiser, but they come from cenote, so they could be cenotites, but that sounds stupid. Cenobites will do, right? But pick up everything that you can, and then get ready for some stealth sections. So this is where Deadly Obsession is really going to shine, because how do you cope under the threat of failure? That really is where this difficulty, raises its fist and prepares for battle. Because we've been playing now for probably about 20 to 30 minutes, depending on how quick you were. The video isn't 30 minutes long because I've removed all the slow shit that you had to do. And at this point, if you fuck up, you go all the way back. And it's lingering on your mind, this idea that if I make a silly mistake and I die now, I have to do this again. And we're spoiled in video games with really, really good checkpoints. Consistently good, oftentimes too good in their use. It's the same thing with waypoints, something that this game turns off. We're spoiled with paint on ledges to help us know where to go, to help us know what to grab. And we're spoiled with checkpoints being very, very cushioned and security-inducing. This Deadly Obsession removes those two things, and it leads to very different results. Being stressed and feeling the pressure is awful. It sucks. It's like when you're fighting a really hard boss and you get the boss down to low life and you're so close, but you know you're always a second away from failure. In that moment, though, it feels right because you're up against something that's truly challenging and very difficult. Whereas in this game, you're terrified that Lara's going to miss the ledge, and it doesn't feel fine. It feels awful. You're terrified you're going to bump into piranhas that you didn't know were there, and it's such an interesting thing. And I know that there are people that love it because there's tons of people that do it. Iron Man stuff, 0 checkpoint, 0 saving, and there's a whole community of players who live for that kind of thing. But I never have, I'm a sprinter. I'm not a marathon runner. I like impossible difficulty for about 4 minutes. I'll do anything for 9 years as long as it's 4 minutes long. And if I get to that 4-minute barrier, I've won. I'm cool. But make me do something for 30 minutes and I just don't want to play. It's just not who I am. And this definitely pushed me outside of my comfort zone, this game. I missed my detection then on the execution, if you're wondering. There's also a bottle behind you, so if you turn around now, be careful of the guy who patrols. He can see you up here, but the other two can't. So what you want to do is you want to isolate this last guy. You can shoot him if you want to. You'll notice that my playstyle is going to be massively affected by how long in the game we have to do if I fail. So right now, I've come all the way back over here, and I think I'm going to shoot this guy in the head with the pistol, because I don't fucking trust the bow, because it's failed me so far in this playthrough, even though the bow's always fantastic, and it was just my aim that is to blame. So interesting, I think I'm going to take the Molotov and do the Molotov first. So there's a guy with a shotgun there, there's an elite guy, and then there's a one guy patrolling, but there's also a second elite guy somewhere, and I believe he sees me, because I couldn't quite tell where he was, and I went to cover distance and he spots me. But like, look how tentative I'm playing. Anyone who knows my channel and knows my videos knows that I am not a tentative player. That's just not how I go. But because of the nature of this, and look at him moving around. I like that though. And it makes me miss too. Isn't that cool, right? How many times do enemies stand around and just give you perfect headshots? In this game, there's a little bit to their animations that make them kind of trickier to hit. And it's cool. It's just a shame that the aiming's already so awkward that they don't really need this animation because the controls don't feel good. And I made the mistake of coming off Gears of War, a game that has fantastic controls. So when I put this game on, I felt like I was dying. If you want to see my reaction to the delayed aiming, watch my stream highlights over on my Twitch. It was brutal. Because I've never been that person who watches the Digital Foundry video, and when, you know, is it John Linneman, I think he's called? I forget his name. The cool guy. All of the cool guys over on Digital Foundry, but he is my favourite, the guy that did this game. He said that the game has horrendous input delay, and it's something that they fixed in the old games, and it was something he never liked. And I don't know if I noticed it in the old game. Maybe I got it when it was already fixed. Do you see him over there in the vegetation? He's going to see me in a moment, because I tried to climb a tree because I wanted to string him up with the arrow or jump on him, and he just sees me. There it was. He saw me just then. So now I have to shoot him. And the irony is, you can shoot all of these people, and it's a much easier thing to do, but I kind of feel like stealthing is the way that they want you to do these moments, so that's the reason that I do them. But there he goes, and that's the end of that section. But yeah, it's one of those cases where I never really noticed it before. And if I did notice, I'd have to watch my walkthrough back. Did anybody watch my Rise of the Tomb Raider walkthrough? Did I mention that the aiming controls felt like shit? Because if I did, then I take back everything I've just said. But I forget these commentaries because I do so many of them.
What are those creatures?
But I believe, now that you've done that, there's no more combat left. And you can just get to your campfire and get your checkpoint. And that marks a pretty important section because that's the first part of the game outside of the intro where you had to go a decent amount of time without saving. And it's going to prepare you for the sections that are even longer than this. So I hope you didn't have too much trouble here because unfortunately it gets worse.
God, bodies everywhere. The creatures killed them. All full up. Jonah. Impossible. I can't. I saw something. Trinity is being hunted by some kind of creature.
What?
It made hissing sounds and moved so fast.
Lara, that sounds like the legend of the Pistaco. You pulling our legs?
No, I know what I saw.
Are you safe?
Yeah, I'm on my way back. Impossible. I can't carry anymore.